Hello, friends, and welcome to today's journey into the heart of human connection. I'm your guide, drawing from the timeless well of Stoic wisdom, here to explore a question that has intrigued lovers, friends, and families since the dawn of humanity. How can we cultivate deeper, more resilient relationships in our hectic modern world? Pause for a moment, consider the last time you felt truly heard by someone you love. How long ago was that? How often do we, in the rush of our days, forget the simple power of presence, of calm understanding, of an unwavering inner strength? In our fast-paced lives, relationships can feel like fragile glass teetering on the edge. One harsh word, one misstep, and shards of frustration fly everywhere. Yet, Stoicism offers us a sturdier foundation and inner bedrock on which our connections can flourish. Today, we'll explore 7 pillars of Stoic insight to deepen and fortify our bonds: awareness, acceptance, self-governance, perspective, empathy, gratitude, and purposeful action. Each pillar is a lantern lighting our path to more peaceful, intentional, and powerful relationships. Part 1. Awareness. Knowing yourself, knowing others. Awareness is the lodestar of Stoic practice, the gentle light that guides us from reaction into choice. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength in relationships. This insight is a revelation. We tend to treat our emotions as if they were strangers invading our peace, resentment at a forgotten promise, anxiety born of a curt tone, or defensiveness triggered by a casual remark. Yet beneath these reactions lies a deeper self, observant and receptive, waiting to be acknowledged. To cultivate awareness, begin with the simple habit of pausing. When a surge of frustration wells up, perhaps your partner arrives home late. Without a word, resist the urge to scold. Instead, place a gentle hand on your breath. Feel the inhale, notice the tightness in your chest, the quickening of your pulse. This moment of self-observation creates a gap between stimulus and response, empowering you to choose compassion over reproach. Seneca, writing to his friend Lucilius, counseled, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By observing your thoughts, you distinguish between imagined slights and genuine concerns. Awareness is equally about tuning into the inner world of others. Epictetus urged, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you aspire to be an attentive companion, begin by noticing the subtle currents in another's voice, the hesitation, the tremor, the laughter that falters at its crescendo. Imagine yourself stepping into their shoes. What worries might weigh on their mind? What joys might they wish to share? When you ask, "How are you feeling?" truly, you signal that their inner life matters, that you honor their humanity. This dual practice, self-awareness and other awareness, transforms everyday interactions into moments of genuine connection. For example, during a dinner conversation, when your friend's eyes drift to their phone, awareness whispers, "Pause your words." Observe their gaze. Is there distance or distraction? Rather than assuming neglect, you might gently inquire, "I notice you seem preoccupied. Would you like to talk about what's on your mind?" Such questions, grounded in attentive presence, open doors to vulnerability and trust. Emotionally, awareness fosters resilience. When criticism stings, you recognize its impact in your body, clenched jaw, shallow breath without succumbing to shame or anger. You can then ask yourself, is this commentary an accurate reflection, or merely a mirror of my insecurities? By tracing your reaction back to its source, you reclaim authority over your feelings. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Practically, integrate short check-in pauses throughout your day. A brief moment before answering a text, a 3-second breath before responding to a question, a mindful glance at your partner's expression before speaking. Over time, these small acts of awareness become second nature. You'll find that you no longer merely react, you choose responses that reflect empathy, clarity, and integrity. In modern relationships, where distractions are relentless and emotions run high, the Stoic art of awareness is a balm. It reminds us that every interaction is an opportunity to practice patience, to extend kindness, and to deepen our understanding of both ourselves and those we cherish. By illuminating the spaces between our impulses, we step into a more intentional, more connected way of living and loving. Part 2. Acceptance. Embracing what you cannot control. Acceptance is the gentle art of meeting reality on its terms, neither fleeing from discomfort nor clinging to illusion. At the heart of Stoicism lies the profound distinction taught by Epictetus. Some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. When we apply this lens to our relationships, we discover a wellspring of inner calm. We stop exhausting ourselves by battling the currents of circumstance, missed calls, unexpected traffic jams, shifts in mood, and instead turn our energy toward what truly lies within our power, our thoughts and actions. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations, urges us to recall that the external world proceeds according to its design. He writes, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't. Feel harmed, don't feel harmed and you haven't been." When a loved one forgets an important date or reacts with impatience, the initial sting arises from our expectation that they behave as we expect them to. Acceptance invites us to release that expectation and instead meet their humanity with compassion. By acknowledging, "I cannot control their choices or feelings," we free ourselves from the tightening grip of resentment and open the door to genuine understanding. Seneca goes even further, reminding us that resistance often magnifies our suffering. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. If a friend's abrupt tone triggers hurt, we can ask, "Am I truly wounded by their words, or by the story I'm telling myself about their intentions?" The second layer, our internal narrative, often inflicts deeper pain than the original event. Acceptance urges us to strip away the added layers of blame and fear, leaving a clear-eyed recognition of what occurred. In this clarity, our response becomes wiser and more measured. Emotionally, acceptance is not cold resignation. It is a reverent bow to life as it unfolds. When your partner arrives home exhausted after a long day, acceptance dissolves irritation. "Where have you been?" and replaces it with empathy. "I see how hard you've worked. Let me offer you a moment of peace." In doing so, you create a space where both parties feel safe to express vulnerability. The Stoic ideal of a pathia, freedom from destructive passions, emerges not from detachment, but from an active choice to embrace reality without judgment. Practically, you can cultivate acceptance through daily reflection. Each morning, remind yourself of the Stoic dichotomy. "Today, I will strive to influence what I can, my words, my deeds, my attitude, and let go of what I cannot, the weather, the traffic, the unpredictability of others." If a conflict arises, pause and label your impressions. "This is outside my control. This is within." This simple mental exercise rewires your brain to allocate effort where it yields fruit, rather than flailing against immovable obstacles. Acceptance also deepens our gratitude. By releasing the illusion of total control, we come to appreciate the moments that unfold naturally. The spontaneous laughter shared over coffee, the comforting silence held between close friends. As Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." True power in relationships springs from this inner sovereignty, the knowledge that, regardless of external turbulence, we can remain anchored in our equanimity. In embracing what we cannot control, we do not abandon hope or effort. Rather, we channel our energy with precision. We offer support without coercion, speak our truth without attachment to its reception, and listen without expecting perfection. In these acts, acceptance becomes a living practice, guiding our hearts toward serenity and our relationships toward genuine resilience. Part 3. Self-governance. Mastering your reactions. Self-governance is the crucible in which Stoic freedom is forged. Epictetus declared with unflinching clarity, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the realm of relationships, our reactions, often instantaneous, born of habit, can either sow harmony or unleash turmoil. True mastery begins when we recognize that every emotional impulse, every rising tide of irritation or pride, is neither fate nor final. It is a choice point, an invitation to exercise our inner freedom. Imagine a moment of tension. Your partner's offhand remark cuts unexpectedly, like a cold breeze through an open window. The immediate surge of defensiveness whispers, "Strike back with equal force, prove your worth." Yet in that split second, The Stoic pause emerges as your greatest ally. Recall Marcus Aurelius's counsel in Meditations. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. By inserting just a breath between stimulus and response, you create a sanctuary. Of choice, you observe the initial urge, your heart pounding, your hands tightening, yet you need not act on it. Delving deeper, Seneca reminds us, no man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. In other words, unchecked pride and impatience are seeds sown in fertile ground. When a heated discussion ignites, self-governance asks, what underlying belief am I defending? Whose voice am I echoing? Are you arguing to be right or to be connected? This reflection dismantles the ego's barricades, allowing your words to flow not from a place of fear, but from integrity. Emotionally, mastering your reactions transforms conflict into an opportunity for growth. When you feel the sting of criticism, instead of retracting into shame or lashing out, you can choose curiosity. What truth lies beneath these words? Is there something here I can learn? This reframing diffuses tension and signals to your loved one that you value honest exchange over victory. It cultivates a climate of psychological safety where both parties dare to speak and listen with open hearts. Practically, self-governance flourishes through simple, daily disciplines. Begin each morning with the affirmations Epictetus offered. I will encounter busybodies, arrogant people, deceitful people, envious people, unsocial people, and I, for my part, will be unaffected, impassive, and humane. By rehearsing these reminders, you steel yourself against predictable provocations. When the moment arrives, you recognize the familiar pattern and choose a higher response: patience over irritation, empathy over contempt. Over time, these small acts of restraint compound into an unshakable habit. You become known as someone who speaks with calm authority, who listens without interruption, who models the very composure you wish to see in others. This consistency deepens trust. Your loved ones learn that their vulnerabilities will not be weaponized, but met with steadiness and care. Ultimately, self-governance is not about suppressing emotion, it is about befriending it. It invites you to lean into discomfort and discover that beneath the storm lies a tranquil core. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. In that space of inner sovereignty, your relationships flourish. You respond not as a slave to impulse, but as a conscious architect of connection, building bridges of understanding one mindful pause at a time. Part 4. Perspective: seeing the bigger picture. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret every wrinkle in our partner's brow and every pause in our friend's response. Stoicism teaches us that the world we experience is not the world itself, but our judgment of it. Epictetus reminds us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. In relationships, this means the quarrel over a forgotten task, the pain of a curt remark, often stems not from the act itself, but from the story we weave around it. When your spouse snaps after a long day, ask, is this anger directed at me, or a shadow cast by their exhaustion? By stepping back from the immediate sting, you open space for compassion rather than conflict. Marcus Aurelius invites us to see beyond the narrow frame of the present moment. Consider frequently the connection of all things in the universe. The affection you bear for your flesh is nothing compared to the affection you bear for others. When a friend cancels plans at the last minute, it's easy to feel slighted. But imagine their broader context. Perhaps they wrestle with worries you cannot see. By expanding our view, acknowledging the unseen currents that shape another's behavior, we temper our frustration with understanding. Seneca offers a powerful exercise in perspective. He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. Reflect on past disagreements, which seemed insurmountable in the heat of the moment but, in hindsight, felt minor. When you anticipate that disagreements are a normal, even healthy part of any close bond, you cushion their impact. You learn to greet the friction of miscommunication as a signal to deepen dialogue, rather than as proof of a crumbling foundation. Emotionally, adopting a Stoic perspective cultivates resilience. When a loved one's mood darkens, rather than absorbing their gloom, you remind yourself, moods Like clouds pass, you are not a hostage to another's emotional weather. This recognition does not diminish empathy. It simply prevents you from drowning in another's storm. You can offer warmth and shelter, confident that your center remains steady. Practical application of perspective begins with a simple question: will this matter in a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, you release the grievance and turn your attention back to connection. When your child's soccer game ends in a loss, you might feel disappointment, but will this result affect their lifelong confidence? Unlikely. By seeing the broader arc of life, you guard both your peace and your loved one's spirit from needless suffering. Perspective also invites us to embrace the Stoic ideal of cosmopolitanism, recognizing that every person we encounter shares in the same human experience. The old argument, "But you don't understand how hard my day was," falls away when we recall that struggle is universal. In that shared humanity, we find common ground, dissolving the walls that pride or misunderstanding can erect. Finally, perspective reminds us that relationships, like all things, are ever-changing. Just as seasons turn, so too do emotions, circumstances, and roles. Clinging to a fixed vision of how things should be only breeds disappointment. Instead, we practice flexibility, recognizing that growth often emerges from discomfort. As Marcus Aurelius mused, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." By framing change as the soil in which our bonds deepen, we transform uncertainty into a source of strength. In embracing perspective, we see not only the moment's turmoil, but the long path of shared history and possibility ahead. We learn to meet conflict with curiosity, to greet missteps with grace, and to cultivate an expansive, compassionate gaze, one that holds both the fleeting moment and the grand tapestry of life in serene balance. Part 5. Empathy, walking in another's shoes. Empathy is the heartbeat of connection, the gentle bridge that carries our understanding across the chasms of individual experience. Stoicism, far from encouraging Stoic detachment, calls us toward a profound fellow feeling. As Seneca reminds us, wherever there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. In practice, empathy begins by recognizing that every person you love carries within them a hidden world of hopes, fears, and burdens that you cannot fully see. Epictetus offers a powerful guide. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. When your partner's tone is terse or your friend grows distant, you might leap to judgment, imagining deliberate indifference. Empathy invites you instead to pause and imagine their unseen struggle, a work deadline looming, a health concern they haven't shared, the quiet weight of past disappointment. By placing yourself in their shoes, you soften the edges of resentment and open your heart to genuine concern. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, urges us to remember our shared humanity. Whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and study your failings. Then you will forget your anger. In relationships, this Stoic mirror reflects our imperfections, reminding us that we, too, have faltered and refrained from kindly explanation. When criticism stings, consider how you would wish to be heard. This inward turn transforms blame into compassionate curiosity. What pain underlies these harsh words emotionally? Empathy is both balm and catalyst. It soothes the sting of conflict by replacing defensive walls with open windows. When you ask, "I sense you're troubled, would you share what's on your heart?" you offer a safe harbor for vulnerability. In that fertile ground, resentment gives way to understanding, and two wounded hearts begin to heal together. Over time, these moments of attentive listening become the threads that bind you ever more closely. Philosophically, Stoic empathy rises from the idea of sympathia, the interconnection of all things. Marcus Aurelius writes, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. Each person we encounter is a limb of the cosmic body. When one suffers, the whole responds." This vision dissolves isolation, reminding us that our loved one's pain is never truly separate from our capacity for care. Practically, cultivating empathy requires intention. Begin by asking open-ended questions. Tell me more, or how did that feel? Resist the urge to offer solutions too quickly. Often, what the other needs most is the experience of being heard. Reflective listening, parroting back the essence of what you've heard, demonstrates that you are fully present. It sounds like you felt overlooked when plans changed. That must have been painful. These words validate the speaker's inner world and invite deeper sharing. Empathy also calls for emotional regulation. To truly hold another's pain, you must first calm your inner storm. Self-awareness and self-governance are earlier pillars. Prepare you to meet another's vulnerability without becoming overwhelmed. In that steadiness, you embody the Stoic ideal of equanimity, offering solace without losing yourself. Finally, empathy blossoms into action. Seneca writes, "Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see." Small gestures, a warm text checking in, a gentle touch on the shoulder, a surprise cup of tea speak volumes. These tangible acts, born of genuine understanding, reinforce the emotional bond and remind your loved one that they are never alone in their struggles. In walking a mile in another's shoes, you do more than bridge the gap of misunderstanding. You affirm the shared journey of human life. Empathy transforms a relationship from a fragile exchange of words into a resilient tapestry of mutual care, each thread strengthened by the conscious choice to see, feel, and honor the humanity within. U.S. All. Part 6. Gratitude, counting the gifts, not the grievances. Gratitude is the elixir that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mundane into the magnificent. For the Stoics, gratitude was not a fleeting feeling, but a deliberate practice, a daily alchemy that turns scarcity into abundance. Marcus Aurelius instructs us in his Meditations, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." In relationships, this radical appreciation becomes a beacon, guiding us away from fixation on flaws and towards celebration of the countless small kindnesses that often go unnoticed. To grasp Stoic gratitude, we begin by examining its philosophical roots. Epictetus teaches that external circumstances are indifferent. What matters is our judgment. If you view your partner's habitual morning coffee as simply routine, you miss its deeper significance. Yet if you see it as an active warm gesture to ease your transition from sleep to wakefulness, you unlock joy. In this light, every shared meal, every supportive word, every silent concern becomes a precious gift rather than an expected entitlement. Seneca, in his letters, reminds us, "He who does not value life does not deserve it." When we fail to acknowledge the small mercies in our closest bonds, we betray the very fabric of life's worth. Perhaps your friend listened without interrupting when you needed to vent. Perhaps your child surprised you with a spontaneous hug. These fleeting moments, when counted and honored, form a mosaic of love and reliability. Gratitude draws our attention to what is flourishing in our relationships, rather than what might be lacking. Emotionally, practicing gratitude reorients our inner landscape. The human mind leans naturally toward negativity, a survival trait from our ancestral past. Yet by deliberately shifting focus to blessings, we retrain our neural pathways. Each night, take a quiet moment, perhaps beside your partner or in the stillness before sleep, and name 3 things your loved one did today that warmed your heart. Let your voice speak them aloud. Thank you for making that phone call on my behalf. Thank you for sharing your meal. Thank you for laughing with me. As Seneca notes, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Practically, embed gratitude into your routines. You might begin emails or texts with a brief line of appreciation. "I'm grateful for your insight on that project today." At dinner time, initiate a gratitude round, inviting each person to share one thing they're thankful for in another. Over time, these small practices weave themselves into the fabric of everyday life, creating an atmosphere where recognition and warmth flourish. Gratitude also softens conflict. When tension arises over money, chores, or miscommunication, it's easy to fixate on grievances. The Stoic counter-move is immediate. Recall a moment when your partner's support buoyed you, or when your friend's counsel steered you right. This remembrance does not invalidate the issue at hand, but tempers its emotional charge, allowing you to address it from a place of appreciation rather than accusation. Finally, gratitude cultivates generosity. As Marcus Aurelius reflects, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When your mind is filled with thanks, You naturally seek to give back through acts of service, heartfelt compliments, or devoted listening. This reciprocity deepens trust and conveys the unspoken message, I see you, I value you, you matter, in counting gifts instead of grievances. We align our hearts with the Stoic ideal of equanimity, finding stability not in the absence of challenges but in the presence of unwavering appreciation. By making gratitude a living practice within our relationships, we nurture a sanctuary of goodwill, resilience, and abiding love. Part 7. Purposeful Action, Living Stoicism in Daily Practice. Purposeful action is the living heart of Stoicism, where lofty principles descend from the mind into the world of everyday deeds. As Epictetus counseled, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. In relationships, this means translating our awareness, acceptance, self-governance, perspective, empathy, and gratitude into concrete gestures that speak more powerfully than words. When we act with intention, when every choice aligns with our deepest values, we forge connections built on authenticity and trust. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Reflection without action is an echo in an empty hall. Real transformation occurs when we move from thought to practice. Consider the simple ritual of a daily check-in, a brief but sincere moment where you pause your busy schedule to ask, "How are you today?" and then truly listen. That small act broadcasts a signal of confidence to your partner or friend. Your time and attention are gifts, freely given. Over weeks and months, these moments accumulate into a reservoir of goodwill that sustains both parties. When storms inevitably rise, Seneca taught, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. In the Stoic view, we prepare for relational harmony by rehearsing virtues in our minds: kindness, patience, courage, and then seize each opportunity to enact them. Perhaps you notice your colleague struggling with a deadline. You offer constructive help without being asked, or you observe tension building at home, and you suggest a short walk together rather than allowing silence to harden into resentment. These actions, though modest, become the sinews that bind hearts together emotionally. Purposeful action fosters empowerment. When you commit to a concrete practice like writing a weekly note of appreciation to someone who's supported you, you reclaim agency over your relational life. You refuse to drift with the currents of circumstance and instead chart a course guided by your values. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. By defining the partner, friend, or family member you aspire to be, you light a beacon for daily choices. Practically, integrate micro practices throughout your routine. Begin each morning with a Stoic intention. One sentence summarizing how you will show up for others today. It could be, I will speak kindly to my child even when I'm tired, or I will listen fully to my spouse without interrupting. Write it on a sticky note or whisper it as you brew your coffee. At midday, pause for a Stoic pause, a deep breath paired with the question, is my next action aligned with my intention? This gentle check prevents mindless reactions and keeps you tethered to your chosen course. When conflict arises, purposeful action demands creative problem solving rather than blame. Instead of rehashing past wounds, propose a concrete change. Let's set aside 10 minutes each evening to talk without screens. This shifts the focus from fault-finding to co-creation, reinforcing the partnership at the heart of every relationship. Finally, reflect nightly on your efforts. As Seneca advised, every night before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what good have I done today? Celebrate each success, however small, and learn from moments when you fell short. The cycle of intention, action, and reflection transforms Stoicism from theory into a living ethos, a way of being that radiates calm strength and deep connection. In weaving purposeful action into the tapestry of your daily life, you become more than a philosopher. You become a living testament to Stoic wisdom. Your relationships flourish not because of grand declarations, but because of countless small choices made with clarity, courage, and compassion. As we wrap up our exploration, take a deep breath and feel the stillness within. You've hosted awareness to shine light on your inner and outer worlds. You've practiced acceptance of what lies beyond your control. You've exercised self-governance. To master your reactions, you've broadened your perspective. You've opened your heart through empathy, you've cultivated gratitude, and you've committed to purposeful action. These are not lofty ideals reserved for philosophers on mountaintops. They are living tools for anyone seeking more meaningful relationships. Now, I invite you to choose one Stoic pillar, perhaps empathy or gratitude, and apply it in a conversation today. Notice how it shifts the tone, how presence replaces distraction. Share your experience in the comments below or with a friend over coffee. If you found value in this journey, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more reflections on timeless wisdom made practical. Thank you for listening with open ears and an open heart. Until next time, may you walk forward with clarity, calm, and unshakable inner strength. Farewell, and may your relationships flourish in the light of Stoic wisdom.